Hey, what's up, people? This is Panaorios, and welcome back to the Forgotten City. We are back here. I just sent the newcomer to the shrine, but what we really need to do is talk to Equitia, because she needed us to talk to everyone and find out their stories in the last episode, and she only needed 3 common threads, and it looks like we have 4. I do want to talk to either Virgil or Fabia. Actually, we're going to talk to them both just to get their stories. Maybe we could find some more threads, and then we'll go and talk to Equitia. So let's start with Virgil here.
Ah, a new face. So I hear we have
I know who you are.
for say.
Yep. What's your
Well,
story?
I'm an architect. Or at least I was back in Rome. That's probably too grandiose a term to describe what I do here. Help out with repairs and try to stop old buildings from collapsing on people, that kind of thing. But you probably don't want to hear about the ingenious architecture or mysterious history of this place.
Correct.
I like that. We're going to get on well, friend.
Okay.
Nice to talk to you.
Nice to talk to you too, Virgil. I guess we don't get to know his story. I don't want to talk to you.
One of these statues is worth on the outside.
Shiny. You took care of him?
He had a tragic
An
accident in that shrine.
accident? So, it's over? Oh God, it's such a relief. I really thought we were all going to die. I do have a question though. That shrine, the one I was going to hide in, did you know it was going to collapse?
You're trying to set me up. No.
Really? Then how? Oh, I see. Oh, I should probably keep my big mouth shut then. Sorry.
Exactly.
I promise, nobody else will ever know what you did. But I know. That was really clever. Thank you. I'm glad you're here. Oh, speaking of which, welcome. I'm
Trickster.
Fabia.
Save
Sorry, I was a
Fabia's
bit
life.
frantic before.
I should have
Need
gotten that
anything?
ages ago. I really should have got that trophy ages ago. Anyways, what's your story?
There's not much to tell. I mostly just bake bread and try to help out where I can.
How'd
I
you end up
suppose it all
here?
started about 8 months ago. I was living in Rome with my family when I got sick. Terrible timing. My pa had just arranged a husband for me. A fisherman's son. I was about to meet him for the first time when I came down with an awful fever. I spent the next week in bed. Pa paid priests to make offerings to Asclepius, a white rooster, then a goat. But nothing worked. In the end, they decided I'd do better outside the city. Clean air in the countryside would do me good, they said. But after about a day in a carriage on the Appian Way, I was getting worse, not better. I remember closing my eyes for a bit, and I guess I must have fell asleep, because when I opened them again, I was in a forest by a river. I suppose the driver took off with his fee and left me for dead. Can't say I blame him. I wouldn't have wanted to catch what I had either. Anyway, I went searching for help, stumbled across the trapdoor temple, and here I am.
That's odd. Most of the others were in Rome before they woke up in the forest, but you're saying you were a day's ride away?
Oh yeah, I suppose you're right. Hadn't really thought about it. But the gods are mysterious and powerful. Who knows what their plans are for us?
Interesting.
All
I'll
right.
be going.
Thanks again for taking care of our problem. I won't forget it.
Okay, Fabia. Alright, so before we talk to Equitia, I want to try something. So, you all know how Dooley was responsible for breaking the golden rule last time because he saw something shiny. And you also know how I found those goose eggs a couple episodes back. I wonder if I can make the goose eggs... Oh, here's the goose. I wonder if I can make the goose eggs gold and offer them to Dooley so that he doesn't break the golden rule if we manage to get in another loop. Golden goose eggs. These look valuable. Take item. Okay. So now we have golden goose eggs. Can we do anything with these? Nope. Okay. Worth the try. I know. I feel like... Is this... First we thought it was the voice of the person up here, when it very well could be. But maybe Scintilla's like a witch or something, because that can apply... Everything she's saying could apply to her as well. But anyways, let's go ahead and talk to
Don't you just love
Equitia.
springtime?
Shouldn't you be talking to people?
Ave again. Did you find what you need?
Okay, so... Oh, we have to go through these questions again.
Well,
Alright.
I suppose we'd... This
Yep,
might sound
we
like
did
a
all of
strange
this. A young woman
Karen, you
named
say?
Karen.
And nothing about that name seemed odd to you.
I think I
do?
see where this is going.
Well then, have you spoken with... I really think you should.
You're being a bit coy. Alright, I'll
Good.
do that.
Thank you.
I may have already noticed
You
a
have?
pattern.
Then what is it?
Okay, good. We have a bunch of stuff. Some people mentioned
Yes.
a coin.
I suppose that could be something. But then most of us do tend to carry coins on our person, don't we? What else?
Some people mentioned a river.
Yes. I understand many of our friends were carried here by a river current. What else?
Some people mentioned memory
That's
lapses.
true. I know I wasn't entirely sure how I wound up here. It's as I feared. I think I understand what poor Livia has been going through. You mentioned earlier you met a young woman in the forest named Karen, yes?
That's
I
right.
see. And was this Karen by any chance wearing a hood?
She was wearing a hoodie. How could you have known
Because
that?
I've seen her before. There's something I think you should see. I think you'd better follow me to the baths.
Alright, I'll meet you in the
Don't
baths.
follow too closely. We can't have people thinking we're bathing together.
Correct. Okay, I'm going to let her go to the baths, and I'm going to go and save Obelisk. I'll meet you all once we get to the baths. Alright, everybody, we're back. It took a lot longer than I thought to save Obelisk, but we saved him. Now we're heading into the baths to go and talk to Equitia. Good lord. I had to give him 2,000 denarii because for some reason, even though I told Malleolus to let him go, that didn't go through yet. But it's okay. It looks like we keep all the money anyways. But let's go ahead and talk to Equitia.
All right, you're here. You were asking how I knew the young woman you met by the river was wearing a hood. Here, look down at the bottom of the baths. It's a little hard to make out in this light. If only we could see. Oh, what a marvelous lamp.
It's so cool.
But do you see it? Somebody waking up by a river in a forest to find a hooded figure with a coin. It's just as you described it, only your pronunciation is a little off. The name you heard wasn't Karen. It was C-H-A-R-O-N, as in Charon, the ferryman of the
Underworld.
dead. Charon, who, in exchange for the right coin, helps the souls of the newly deceased cross the Styx, the river that separates the land of the living from the land of the dead.
When I dragged you out of the river, I thought you were never gonna wake up. I checked your pockets for ID, but all I found was some loose change. Feels like I've spent my whole life in a dead-end job with an endless commute. Sorry if I sounded cagey, it's just that I don't always get the best reactions when I introduce myself. My name's Karen.
There are a bunch of old stories about the gods punishing people by making them do the same futile task over and over. But, on the bright side, at least you're not stuck in the underworld like they all were.
I'm so sorry, my friend. I'm so sorry. I take it you know what this means.
This place is the underworld.
I'm afraid so. It's all starting to make sense. All these people whose last memory was running from the fires toward the river. It seems none of them escaped with their lives after all. Perhaps we should be grateful they don't remember their final moments. It also tells us that the Golden Rule is the work of Pluto, the god of the underworld, and why his epithet has always been Father of Riches. I know it's a lot to take in, and you look as if you have questions, so I'll try to answer them if I can.
Pluto is Hades. So I remember saying before that, oh, Hades rules this place, but Pluto's is the Roman version of Hades. And I was right, and it's awesome. So, we're dead?
That was my first thought too. In the old stories, the underworld was where the souls of the deceased were taken. But it was also possible for the living to reach it without dying, if they were particularly fearless. So I'm afraid I don't know.
What can you tell me about Charon?
Oh, I'm sorry. I keep forgetting you're not from here. If you were Roman, or even Greek, you would know these stories. Each of them is slightly different, whether the storyteller was Plato, Homer, Virgil, or Ovid. But they always involved the souls of the dead meeting a grim ferryman named Charon on the bank of a river. It was said that he'd help the new arrival cross, only if they could pay him with a coin, an obol. That's why it was once our custom to bury our loved ones with a coin in their mouths. Charon's obol, we called it. Of course, an obol was a kind of Greek coin, because we inherited this knowledge from the Greeks. The only difference is that they spelled it with a kappa, which I suppose means Kharon, is closer to the original spelling.
Why didn't you all recognize Charon immediately?
To be fair, the ferryman isn't exactly as the poets described, and he, she, they seem to appear to different people in different guises. You say you saw a young woman named Karen with a hood, and I once heard Kabash mention a stranger in a ram headdress named Kerti, and Rufius described meeting a stranger named Kamut Tabal wearing an eagle headdress. But whatever form this stranger took, they were always wearing a hood of some sort, and their name always began with a K sound. I suspect the only way you'll solve this riddle is if your paths cross again.
Why are there so few people in the underworld?
Let's see. In the stories, Charon would always require a coin as payment for passage across the river, but that never made any sense to me. What does an ancient immortal being need with coins? In our case, it seems Charon didn't take the coins we had. He or she merely checked we had one in our possession. So, maybe there's something special about the coins each of us had on us. That might explain why we wound up here, but so many others did not.
Were you trying to keep this from me? I don't think she was. That's all the questions I had.
We have to figure out what to do about it, if we don't want to be cast into gold for eternity. We don't have much to go on, except the old stories. I remember 4 in particular about heroes in the underworld. Hercules, the demigod and son of Jupiter, Orpheus, a Thracian poet, Sisyphus, a king of Ephyra, and Aeneas, a Trojan hero. Hercules was able to leave the underworld because he cowed its god with his strength. Sisyphus and Orpheus both relied on their wits instead. They persuaded the goddess of the underworld, Proserpina, to help them escape. And finally, Aeneas was able to escape with the help of a spirit guide, who led him through a secret gate. So it seems you have 2 options: to confront the god of the underworld head-on, or find a way to escape with the help of Proserpina or some other guide.
Can't we just escape the way we came in? That's impossible, but we'll ask the question.
It's a reasonable question, but the problem is, this place is fairly well designed to keep us here. There's no way to climb up the shaft. And even if you could build a ladder big enough, just trying it would break the golden rule. We know that, thanks to the writings left behind by those who've tried.
I've noticed you seem uncomfortable calling the god of the underworld by his name. Why is that?
All Romans try to avoid saying it, and the reason is quite simple. He might hear us. You may refer to him as Pluto, if you wish, but you'll only be calling attention to yourself. Do so at your own peril.
So I wonder if the guy under the city is Pluto or Hades. That would be really interesting. We'll see. Tell me more about confronting Pluto head-on.
Is everyone so blunt where you're from? Oh. That option would be the boldest, but also the only way to learn the truth about the Golden Rule, and maybe even put an end to it. As I said, Hercules managed to overpower the god of the underworld, but he was a demigod. Forgive my candor, but you are no Hercules.
Hercules couldn't manipulate time or turn organic matter into gold.
Are you telling me that you can? I won't pretend to understand exactly what that means, but if that's true, then perhaps you stand a chance. So, if you want to confront him, I'll help you as much as I can. Who knows? Perhaps your name will be uttered in the same sentence as Hercules one day. But first, you'd need an audience with you-know-who, and for that, you'll need to enter the great temple overlooking the city. The problem is, the door has been sealed shut for as long as I've lived here, and there doesn't even seem to be a keyhole. I suspect the answer lies in the desecrated obelisk in front of it. I'm not sure if you noticed, but there are 4 plaques missing from its base. It looks as though
I have 2 of
somebody,
them.
or a series of somebodies, forcibly removed them, and in doing so, dishonored and angered our divine keeper. If you could recover and replace all 4 of those missing plaques, I imagine he might be willing to receive an audience again.
What can you tell me about the
It's
obelisk?
the towering stone monument with 4 sides and a pyramid-shaped head that stands before the great temple, a dedication to the god of this place. You'll find them all over Rome, but of course they were looted from Egypt many years ago. It seems one of them made its way here too, although how is a mystery. However, this one is unusual in that each of the 4 sides is decorated in a different style: Roman, Greek, Egyptian, and another I don't recognize. That means you'll need to recover 4 different plaques: Roman, Greek, Egyptian, and a 4th, a mystery plaque.
Okay, so we have 2 of them. We just need to find the Egyptian one.
Perhaps Kabash, our Egyptian resident, would be able to tell us. Unfortunately, he disappeared weeks ago. But I did hear
Kabash.
Aurelia is peddling rumors about him at the tavern, so perhaps you could talk to her, or just take a look in his room.
And what about the mystery
I'm
one?
afraid you're on your own with that one, but perhaps finding the other 3 will illuminate the way.
Okay, let's talk about something else. Tell me more about escaping with the help of Persephone, or a guide.
As I mentioned, both Orpheus and Sisyphus were said to have persuaded Proserpina to help them escape, and Aeneas was guided to the exit. The problem is, those are the stories of a poet, a self-aggrandizing king, and a brawler about their own heroic deeds, so they should be taken with a grain of salt. First, Proserpina. What we do know about her is, well, it's a grim tale. It's said the god of the underworld abducted and dragged her here against her will, forcing her into marriage.
That's horrible. So she might be willing to work against him to help
If the
us.
stories are true, then I suppose so. The problem is, how do we communicate with her without being noticed by her captor? Leaving that aside for a moment, there is also the possibility of a spirit guide. I don't suppose you've come across one of those in your travels?
I hear the female statues whispering to me every now and then.
And you're only bringing this up now? Then again, I suppose you were worried I'd think you were as mad as Navia. Can you tell me more? Is it the same voice? What kinds of thing does it say?
It's always the same voice, and she's helpful, if a little cryptic.
Fascinating. Perhaps she's a benevolent spirit. Or perhaps... Perhaps you're hearing the voice of Proserpina herself. If she has indeed been abducted, it would make sense for her to speak in cryptic whispers to avoid detection. Tell me, has she told you anything that might lead you to the way out?
I've already found a way to
Truly?
escape.
Then why are you still here?
because that path would result in the deaths of nearly everyone here, and I don't want that.
I see. Then it seems you have made a great sacrifice for all of us, friend. I admire your compassion. Truly. Thank you. But unfortunately, I'm afraid your only other option will be to confront you-know-who.
Okay, I'm ready to get started.
All right. I would suggest not discussing this with anyone. The best we can do for them is to let them remain oblivious for as long as possible. As for Livia, it seems she's been shouldering the weight of this terrible secret all this time. Perhaps it would comfort her to know she's not alone.
I'll start looking for the Egyptian plaque first. I'll chat with Livia first. I want to go for the Egyptian
In any
plaque.
case, time is of the essence, so you'd best begin. May Fortuna guide you. Although you may not need her with Proserpina on your side.
Okay, that was a hell of a talk. I think in the next episode, we're going to go and talk to the guy under the city, because we now know the name of the god that rules this place. And he does have a room back there, so maybe once we finish talking to him, he'll give us the 4th plaque. I don't know, we'll see. But anyways, that's going to bring us to the end of this episode. If you all enjoyed it, please leave a like, consider subscribing. If you didn't, however, leave a comment, let me know why. If you ever want to get in contact with me, you can follow on Twitter, Panaorios Gaming, or you can join the Discord, which is in the description of any of my videos. But with that said, I will see you all in the next one. Later.